Some couples communicate with honesty, some with compassion. And then there are the couples who treat passive aggression like a love language and emotional blackmail like a shared hobby. You've seen them, arguing telepathically across a dinner table, waging Cold War-level psychological battles over whose turn it is to take out the trash, insisting everything is fine while radiating the energy of a malfunctioning smoke alarm. And the wild part? They swear this is completely normal, totally healthy, practically romantic. But trust me, if you think that's bad, you haven't even reached the part where things get truly, magnificently stupid. Let's go deeper. 1. Let's start with my favorite Olympic sport. Couples pretending they're just discussing something while clearly engaging in a hostage negotiation with no hostages. You know the move, two people insisting everything is peaceful while their eye contact says, "I hope you trip over a Lego tonight." It usually begins with something simple, like one person asking, "Did you take out the trash?" and the other responding with the classic, "Why would you assume I didn't?" Suddenly, we've escalated from household maintenance to interrogations worthy of a courtroom drama. And the best part? They will happily swear to friends, family, and unsuspecting restaurant servers that this is totally normal communication. "We don't fight," they insist, while cutting their steak with the intensity of a man plotting a coup. Ah yes, harmony, pure harmony. 2. Then there's the classic couple who schedule an argument for later, because nothing says emotional maturity like penciling in a meltdown between dinner and doom scrolling. They'll get into a minor disagreement, one of them says, "We'll talk about this when we get home." And instantly the entire evening is held hostage by a conversation-shaped landmine waiting to explode at 8:47 p.m. sharp. They'll drive in complete silence, both rehearsing their lines like actors preparing for a courtroom monologue that no one asked for. Meanwhile, I'm watching from the sidelines thinking, if the calendar app needs a pending fight feature, humanity is doomed. And yet they'll smile in public and say they never go to bed angry, which is technically true, because they stay awake, angry, until 3 a.m. Problem solved. 3. One of my personal favorites is the couple that tracks each other's schedules like the FBI, but calls it just being thoughtful. You know you've crossed into absurdity when one partner casually asks, "So, where exactly were you between 4:12 and 5:07?" with the calm tone of a homicide detective. The other partner responds defensively, because of course they do. What normal human remembers their minute-by-minute movements from earlier today? But this relationship proudly labels itself trusting, while simultaneously running a surveillance operation that would make the NSA blush. And if you suggest maybe, possibly this behavior is a smidge controlling, they'll laugh and say, "No, we're just very close." Yes, so close you've practically merged into a single creature with shared passwords, synchronized GPS tracking, and absolutely no concept of personal space. 4. Ah yes, the mythical "we don't keep score" couple. A bold claim usually made by people who maintain a mental spreadsheet more detailed than their tax returns. They always swear they're above petty tit-for-tat behavior, yet can recall every chore, favor, and emotional labor imbalance dating back to before their first date. One partner sighs slightly too loudly while loading the dishwasher, and suddenly the other is delivering a TED Talk titled, "Times I Did More Than You," a chronological breakdown. And it's always the pettiest stuff, too. "Remember when I fed your cat in 2018? Interesting how you never mentioned that. They call it healthy communication. I call it competitive resentment disguised as romance. But sure, no scorekeeping, just two Olympic-level grudge collectors playing a game they refuse to admit exists. 5. Every relationship has a designated mind reader, or at least one person who thinks their partner should be one. They'll claim, with a straight face, "If you knew me, you'd know why I'm upset," as if being in love grants telepathic access to their internal monologue. Spoiler, it does not. But that doesn't stop them from demanding psychic abilities anyway. They'll pout, sigh, slam cabinets, and expect their partner to decode the emotional Morse code. It's like watching someone try to communicate using the world's worst escape room clues. And if the partner guesses wrong, oh, the betrayal. "Wow, you really don't know me at all. Fantastic, excellent." Nothing strengthens a relationship like being punished for not possessing supernatural powers. 6. Let's talk about the couple that claims they never fight, which is true in the same way that volcanoes never erupt, until they do, and an entire village is on fire. These couples avoid conflict not because they're enlightened, but because they've mastered the art of sweeping things under the rug until the rug develops its own personality. They'll smile serenely, pretending everything is perfect, but their tension is so thick it could slow down Wi-Fi. Then one day, someone loads the dishwasher wrong and boom. 47 years of unspoken irritation erupts like Vesuvius exploding over a plate of breakfast toast. And afterward, they'll swear it was just a misunderstanding. Sure. And Pompeii was just an accidental barbecue. 7. There's a special place in relationship absurdity for couples who weaponize hypotheticals. They'll start with something harmless like, "Would you still love me if I turned into a worm?" and somehow end up in a full-blown argument over a scenario that legally cannot happen. Suddenly, someone is offended that their partner hesitated before answering the worm question, and now they're spiraling. Wow, so if I was a worm, you'd just abandon me? Interesting. And the partner is stuck defending themselves against crimes committed in an alternate universe. But yes, this is love. This is healthy. Nothing says long-term compatibility like emotionally imploding over imaginary no-win questions designed by the relationship equivalent of Saw. 8. Then you have couples who treat jealousy like it's a charming personality quirk rather than a glaring red flag. One partner glances at a waiter for half a second, and suddenly the other is interrogating them like they've been caught exchanging classified documents. So, you like that? You like the way he said still or sparkling? The jealous partner will insist it's cute. It just means they care, while the other is calculating how many minutes remain until they can go home and re-enter witness protection. And yet somehow they both insist. This is totally normal in relationships. Yes, absolutely. Nothing screams stability like treating basic human interactions as romantic treason. 9. Let's not forget the couples who turn every minor inconvenience into a personalized tragedy. One partner forgets to buy almond milk, and the other reacts like they've been betrayed at the red wedding. Suddenly, the entire relationship is under review. If you really love me, you'd remember the kind I like. Really? We're tying dairy alternatives to devotion now? Fantastic. Marvelous. Imagine going to court and explaining that your marriage dissolved because someone grabbed 2% instead of unsweetened vanilla. But these couples will call it high standards, when really it's just emotional overkill dressed up as romantic intensity. Nothing says mature love like weaponizing grocery lists. 10. There's a particular breed of couple that treats compromise like a competitive sport, where the goal is to appear generous while secretly manipulating the outcome. One partner says, "You pick the restaurant," but what they really mean is, "Pick the one I want, or you failed the test." So the other suggests a place and instantly gets hit with, "Really? That's what you want?" And now they're spiraling through the labyrinth of expectations, trying to decode the invisible rubric. Meanwhile, the first partner sits there smugly, calling this working together. Sure, if by together you mean one person telepathically steering the ship, while the other gets blamed for the iceberg. 11. Then there's the iconic silent competition couple, the ones who try to prove who's more emotionally unaffected. Nobody wants to be the first to apologize, or admit they care, or even blink too compassionately. It's like watching two statues attempt a relationship. They'll walk around the house avoiding eye contact, pretending everything is fine while radiating enough emotional tension to power a small city. And the moment one cracks, the other celebrates internally like they just won the Super Bowl. Ah yes, love, where vulnerability is a risk, affection is a battlefield, and saying "I miss you" is treated like a confession under duress. 12. Some couples live in a constant state of who does more, turning domestic life into an unpaid internship with unclear job descriptions. They'll argue over who takes out the trash more often, who folds towels better, who is the household MVP of suffering. These disputes often happen at the worst times, like during a dinner party, at a Target checkout line, or in front of their confused children, who just want to know why everyone is yelling about laundry. But the couple will insist this dynamic is normal, even productive. It's not. It's capitalism, but for chores. And no one gets a promotion. 13. There's always a couple who believes their inside jokes are adorable, when in reality they sound like two people communicating exclusively in cryptic code words. They'll burst out laughing at something as simple as banana socks, and everyone else is left wondering if they should call a neurologist. They insist their private language is cute. It's just our thing, but it often feels like an impenetrable cult ritual disguised as whimsy. And when one partner forgets the meaning of their own inside joke, oh, the scandal. Suddenly the relationship is on the brink because someone can't remember what glitter chicken moment refers to. Yes, intimacy. The art of bonding over nonsense and then weaponizing it. 14. And of course, you have the couples who constantly test each other, emotionally, logistically, sometimes morally. They'll pretend to be upset just to see how the other reacts, or they'll manufacture a scenario to gauge loyalty, affection, or psychic accuracy. It's basically a reality show with no budget and no audience, just two people sabotaging themselves for sport. They'll say things like, "I just wanted to see if you'd notice," which is code for, "I created a pointless trap, and you fell into it beautifully." But yes, this is love. Nothing says trust like running secret experiments on the person you sleep next to. 15. Finally, let's honor the what's wrong couple. The one where one partner is clearly upset, insists nothing is wrong, then punishes the other for not correctly interpreting the nothing. It starts with a sigh heavy enough to influence local weather patterns. The partner asks, "Are you okay?" and instantly receives the classic lie, "I'm fine." They are not fine. They have never been less fine. A silence settles over the house like fog over a battlefield, and suddenly the innocent partner is playing emotional jeopardy, trying to guess what category of mistake they've made. Things you said last week, incorrectly folded laundry, or the ever-popular something I dreamed about but you should still apologize for. And somehow, this is considered normal, beautiful, inspiring, impossible to survive. 16. There's a special shelf in the Museum of Relationship Nonsense reserved for couples who insist they communicate openly, yet somehow only bring up their deepest grievances during the least emotionally safe moments imaginable, like right before bed, during a long car ride, or 10 seconds before guests arrive. They'll sit silently all week, hoarding annoyances like doomsday preppers storing canned goods, only to release them at the exact moment when neither person can escape. You're standing there holding a charcuterie board while they declare, "Actually, I didn't like your tone on Tuesday." And now the brie is sweating because suddenly this house is a courtroom. But afterward they say, "We really value timing." Yes, your timing is flawless, weaponized, inconvenient, and guaranteed to ruin appetizers. 17. Few things amaze me more than the couple that thinks arguing in public is subtle, as if whisper yelling makes them invisible. They'll be at a Target debating whether the beige towels are too beige, and instead of solving the issue at home like normal humans, they perform the world's most hostile ASMR session for everyone within a 10-foot radius. My favorite part is when they try to pretend nothing's happening as a cashier scans items while desperately avoiding eye contact. The couple will walk away saying, "We don't fight, we just have strong discussions." Sure, and volcanic eruptions are just enthusiastic geology. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just trying to buy toothpaste while watching two people reenact the emotional intensity of a Shakespeare tragedy in aisle 7. 18. Then there's the couple that treats gift-giving like a gladiator arena. Not an act of love, but a high-stakes competition to prove who cares more. One partner gives a thoughtful book, and the other retaliates with a surprise trip to Iceland because apparently affection now comes with airline miles. They won't say it out loud, but both know exactly what's happening, an emotional arms race disguised as generosity. They're smiling, yes, but you can see the panic behind the eyes. If I don't out-romance them next time, I'm done for. And afterward they'll tell their friends, "We love surprising each other." Oh, I'm surprised too. Mostly that you haven't bankrupted yourselves in the name of weaponized sentimentality. 19. One of the great wonders of modern relationships is the couple that uses social media as a tool of emotional warfare. They'll post vague quotes like, "Some people don't appreciate what they have," accompanied by a sunset, and the entire world instantly knows they're mad about dishes again. They insist it's not about anyone, even as their partner sits 3 feet away scrolling through Instagram like a bomb technician, trying to decode whether they're being subtweeted. It's incredible. They'll avoid speaking directly to each other, but will share emotionally charged poetry with 800 acquaintances and an old coworker from Quiznos. And when confronted, they'll say, "It's just a general thought." Sure, totally general, just like your passive-aggressive playlist titled, "Listen to This If You Cared." 20. My personal favorite genre of dysfunction is the couple that treats apologies like negotiations. One says, "I'm sorry," and the other responds with, "Are you though?" And suddenly the apology is on trial, complete with cross-examination and evidence submission. They'll interrogate the tone, the sincerity, the speed of delivery, as if apologies are Michelin-star dishes being judged on texture and plating. And if the apologizer hesitates for even half a breath, boom, mistrial. They'll sigh heavily and say, "See, you don't mean it." No one wins. The other partner then attempts a second apology, which is now worse because it's required. But they insist this whole process is just making sure we understand each other. Sure, the UN negotiates nuclear disarmament with less paperwork. 21. Another masterpiece. The couple who believes they're helping each other by offering unsolicited improvement plans. They call it support. The rest of us call it nitpicking with PR packaging. One partner casually mentions being tired, and suddenly the other pulls out a full list of lifestyle changes they should adopt. Waking up earlier, drinking more water, reorganizing their entire existence. It's like dating a self-help podcast with legs. And if you say you didn't ask for advice, they'll reply with the immortal phrase, "I'm just trying to help you be your best self." Translation: I have notes, and you will be hearing all of them. Amazing how quickly affection turns into quality control. 22. Let's talk about couples who make every decision together, or rather, pretend to. One partner says, "What do you feel like for dinner?" But we all know the answer doesn't matter because the decision has already been spiritually predetermined. They'll ask for your input purely for ceremonial purposes, then gently steer you toward the option they wanted all along, suggest anything else, and they'll say, "Really? Interesting choice," with the tone of a disappointed professor reviewing a failing thesis. But they'll still announce proudly, "We make all our decisions jointly." Right. Jointly in the sense that one person chooses and the other participates in the illusion of democracy. A beautiful system, really, if you like autocracy with extra steps. 23. There's also the couple that thinks having a fight in whispers during a family gathering makes it less noticeable, so they'll stand in the kitchen, hissing like two malfunctioning steam kettles while insisting everything is totally fine. Their faces say otherwise. The smiles are stretched thin, their eyes radiating the energy of two people who will absolutely explode the moment the guests leave. But the polite public performance continues. They'll offer cookies, refill drinks, and whisper argue about who overcooked the roast. And afterward they'll say, "We handled that really maturely." Yes, nothing screams maturity like a covert domestic Cold War conducted behind a cheese platter. 24. One of the funniest delusions couples share is the belief that saying, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed," is somehow gentler. It's not. It's emotional napalm delivered in a calm voice. They deploy it when something small goes wrong. Someone forgot the laundry, someone didn't text back quickly enough. And suddenly the atmosphere shifts into parental gloom. The disappointed partner walks around with the solemn dignity of a monarch betrayed. The other partner apologizes profusely, even though they have no idea what the crime threshold was. And at the end, the disappointed one says, "I just expected better." Translation: your punishment is guilt. Utterly delightful. 25. And then we have the couples who treat inside bickering like foreplay. The ones who seem to genuinely enjoy sniping at each other as part of the romantic experience. They'll trade sarcastic jabs with the ease of seasoned comedians, confusing everyone around them who can't tell whether they're flirting or planning a divorce. They'll laugh, they'll mock, they'll launch insults that sound legally actionable, and somehow this is their love language. Meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering if you should call a therapist or a referee, but they swear it's just how they bond. "We tease because we care," they say, while casually roasting each other alive. 26. Let's not forget the couples who weaponize nostalgia. They'll bring up early relationship stories, the first date, the sweet moments, only to pivot into a critique of current behavior. Remember when you used to bring me coffee? What happened to that person? It's emotional archaeology with malicious intent. They'll dig up the past not to reminisce, but to point out how far their partner has fallen from mythical perfection. And the partner, caught off guard, begins defending themselves against a fictional version of who they used to be. It's incredible. Romance meets forensic analysis, and no one leaves happy. 27. Another classic behavior, pretending to just ask a question while absolutely intending to start a fight. They'll lead with something innocent like, "Do you like my cooking?" But what they really mean is, "Explain why you didn't praise me loudly enough last night." By the time the partner realizes it's a trap, they're already ankle-deep in accusations they never saw coming, and if they dare to answer honestly, they've basically signed their own execution warrant. But the asker still insists, "I wasn't trying to start anything." Of course not. You were simply lighting a small emotional fuse to see what might explode. 28. And then there's the couple that treats sharing a hobby like mandatory military service. One partner decides they're into crocheting, or bird watching, or aggressively competitive pickleball, and instantly the other is drafted into service. They'll claim it's quality time, but it's really conscription disguised as bonding. The reluctant partner shows up, confused and exhausted, trying to pretend they're enjoying themselves while secretly Googling, "How long do relationships last when one person hates bird watching?" But they can't escape, because this is their thing now. No, it is not your thing. It is a hostage situation with craft supplies. 29. Of course, no list of relationship foolishness is complete without the couple that handles stress by catastrophizing. One misplaced receipt becomes evidence of financial collapse. One late reply becomes emotional abandonment. One burnt dinner becomes a metaphor for the slow decay of the relationship. They spiral with such enthusiasm, it's almost admirable. You'll hear, "If you can't remember to close the cereal box, how can you possibly remember our anniversary in 20 years? And then the other partner panics because now breakfast is somehow tied to the success of the marriage. Amazing how two people can generate so much drama from a box of Cheerios. 30. Some couples pride themselves on being real with each other, which apparently means delivering brutally honest comments that should probably be kept in the drafts folder. One partner asks, "Do I look tired?" And instead of lying like a decent person, the other responds with, "Yeah, you look exhausted." And now the entire day is ruined. They insist honesty is the foundation of their relationship. But sometimes it feels like cruelty wrapped in gift paper. They'll say things like, "I'm just being upfront," while casually delivering critiques that would make Gordon Ramsay wince. But sure, honesty above all, even above emotional survival. 31. And finally, the reigning champions of relationship nonsense. Couples who insist they're low drama, even as they engage in enough theatrics to qualify for daytime television. They'll insist they're easygoing, chill, peaceful, all while performing Olympic-level acrobatics to avoid accountability, escalate minor issues, and reinterpret every neutral comment as a personal attack. They create more plot twists than an entire season of reality TV, yet somehow believe they're the sensible ones. Their motto is, "We hate drama," spoken seconds before launching directly into it. And honestly, it's kind of inspiring.